All right, well, maybe I'm a little late recognizing this, but it looks like Robin Higginbottom is first across the line tonight, and after just hanging out with us in Sturgis, so good to meet you in Sturgis face-to-face finally. Kieran McGarry is here with us, using his real name. Oh, my God, I can't even believe it. Evil Rick is in the house. Josh Collins is here with us. Meet Christy, Dennis Stauber, Big D, checking in from Marengo, Illinois. Just got home 15 minutes ago from the Sturgis rally, Robin says. Kieran, apparently I missed a pretty epic Sturgis. Brother, you have no idea. It was insane. The mighty Quinn is in. Going to be a great Shop Talk. Thank God for Shop Talk. Man, I can't tell you how good it is for us to be here, and especially the guests that we have on tonight, the two guests, Dennis Manning and Chris Rivas. Man, what an absolute honor. Right after the greatest motorcycle rally on the planet, we come back and get to have this fantastic show tonight with these two great guests. Don't go anywhere. You're out of your mind if you miss this one. Out of your mind. Plus, we have AJ in this chair because Heather's out sick tonight, and AJ's going to show us some of his favorite moments from his first ever Sturgis motorcycle rally. You don't want to miss this, Monique. I'm telling you right now, don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss it. Bagger Bader, so glad to meet you in Sturgis. Listen, this was, in a lot of ways, this was an epic Sturgis because I got to hang out with so many people. It was weird though, right? 85th anniversary, we were waiting for these outstanding numbers, and it was kind of a little lackluster for an anniversary year, I have to tell you. It didn't at all perform up to everybody's expectations. Becky Quivers-Arling and Bob made it to their own zip code. Oh my dear God. Busy week back here working on the Road King. From Dennis Kirk for the order a new exhaust from Dennis Kirk for the Springer. I need to get back in the garage. I was just in the garage today, but it wasn't a good excuse. Listen, Heather's at home, so everybody that is checking in on Heather, she's at home watching this and doing the chat on the sidebar. But she was so sick. 2 days. Heather never gets sick, man. And I felt so bad. Like, she just laid out on the couch and she's like, hang on, I'll get ready. I can make it. Behind Rudy's Farringham with us. Good to see you here, brother. Ashley Woodford, what's up? Part of the Buell Sisters and Buell Brothers racing team. Also one of the fastest women on planet Earth. Oh, look, there's Heather right there. Hey, guys, I'm here. All right, well, since I forgot to run the clock, I'm sure she's going to be yelling at me anytime now. This is total bullshit. I know, honey, but you gotta lay down, take it easy. Otherwise, you're going to end up in the damn hospital. Callie Chavez, hello, good evening to everyone. Pura Vida. Evil Rick, good to see you here. Mark's in with, hey, what's going on? Mark, oh my goodness, it's Nate Beck. Feel better soon, Heather. Cycle Source Crew, let's go. Missing Sturgis already. Nate, what was your flight home like? Because, boy, Nate's flight to Sturgis, I think he's got the record of like 57-hour trip to Sturgis with all the damn delays, and they shut a whole airport down and he had to reroute. Ashley Woodford, absolutely Bonneville show tonight. Absolutely. All right, well, how bad are the cops around the smokeout? Well, a bunch of them work right there for us, and they don't really, the police are fantastic for us. They love smokeout. That whole town loves smokeout as much as we do, so they really, really go out of their way to make sure everybody's having a good time. You know, they want you to be safe and everything too, but there's nobody out there looking to bust your balls. Smokeout is a great time. So look, man, since I didn't start the clock till late, we're going to get this one started. I think this is about close enough for us to get this one out of the station and up onto the tracks. Let's start this week's episode of Shop Talk. Here we go.
Welcome to Shop Talk, your all-access pass to the heart of the motorcycle world. Every week, we fire up the mics with riders, builders, legends, and celebrities, bringing you raw stories, wild rides, and real talk from the road and the garage. From custom builds to killer events, we're covering the culture that keeps your wheels turning through the week. New episodes drop every Sunday. Watch on YouTube or listen wherever you get your podcasts. This is more than a show. It's the sound of wrenches, good times, and the open road. This is ShopTalk. Now available on Cycle Source TV through Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Android TV, iOS, and Android.
All right, scooter tramps and chopper jockeys all across the land. It is just after 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 8 o'clock here in Mitchell, South Dakota, where we sit high atop Television Hill in the Dennis Kirk Motorcycle Studio, courtesy of the folks at Clockworks, letting the back door open so we could sneak in and do this show. I'm Chris Callen with Cycle Source Magazine. So glad to have you guys here. Couple things that were the comments. Nate Beck, Jesus. Dude, my flight out of MSP had to turn around because of a medical emergency. Had to wait for an hour after re-landing in MSP to get the person off, inspect the plane, and make sure it was safe to take off. We landed overweight, and then we're on our way, a 3-hour total delay. Jesus, that dude has had the worst trip. So everyone's talking about Sturgis. The social media feed is full of it, but two of us here of the crew were up to our necks in it. Me and this guy. But,
pretty wild times.
So this is not Heather. This is not Heather sitting over here. Not Heather.
Y'all can
That's
call,
how you
y'all
should
can call
have his
me
name
Arlen.
listed, not Heather.
Did you hear what he said, Mark? Call him Arlen.
What's that?
Did you hear what he said? Call him Arlen.
You can call me Arlen.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Dude, so it was AJ's first time in Sturgis. We're going to go over some of that. In the second part of the show, we're going to show you some. He's an amazing photographer. I'm going to give him all the credit in the world first. Amazing photographer. If you were watching our social media feed from Sturgis, it was all happening because of him. He was killing it, shot motorcycles like he was in everything, but made one mistake on a post and called Paul Yaffe Arlen. And, dude, we did not let up off of this poor cat the whole time we were there.
The worst part was they were behind me, and I turn around and I go, "Hey, Arlen, let me get a photo of you." And they start laughing, and then the dude behind me, one of his buddies, goes, "What am I, chopped liver?" So in one of the photos, you'll see them all cracking up on me, not knowing who I was talking to or getting the names wrong.
Oh, it's one way to get your feet wet.
Oh, dude, Mark.
Just jump in.
AJ, I'm telling you right now, you're lucky Mark wasn't there. I'm just...
Oh, dude.
Because
They made it rough.
Tim Davis, AJ did a fantastic job. So Tim, you said something. Tim said something about the tow truck thing. The tow truck thing sucked. What were you talking about? I missed something somewhere.
Who's tow trucking? What's he tow trucking?
I don't know. Somewhere here. We
So-
missed it. I missed
So
it. I missed a comment.
I still get a
Oh,
kick out of the fact that
deal
it
with
was
the tow
AJ's
truck
first
sucked.
Sturgis.
Yeah, right?
I mean, the social media was killer. I mean, I stick on that. So
AJ,
yeah,
tell
he's
us
doing a
a
great
little
job.
bit. Tell us a little bit about where you come from in motorcycling.
I am from Lubbock, Texas, the home of Buddy Holly. I actually started doing the chopper stuff. I met a guy on TikTok who invited me to my first chopper event, and from there it just kind of blew up. Though it was just kind of odd, Nate Beck was actually one of the first people who interviewed me, and come full circle now, here we are working together, doing the motorcycle stuff that he was interviewing me for in the first place.
nice.
All right. So Rudy Bengoa says he immediately called you Arlen too. I'm assuming since that last name that
That's
has
my
some...
little brother.
So yeah, listen. One of the things this is what he was talking about, the tow trucks thing. So there were 2 motorcycles in Sturgis this year that literally, Mark, hands down blew everything else away. And one of them was Stefan Gran, you know, that we've had on the cover and stuff with the bikes.
Yeah.
And another guy he had with him from, I think he was from Italy, but just the 2 motorcycles that were the coolest motorcycles in Sturgis. Neither one of them spoke more than 4 or 5 words in English. And one of the last days at the Iron Horse, their entire rig got towed. Both bikes, the trailer, the truck that was towing it. They had to pay a fortune. It was just because it was parked in the wrong spot in the alley, and it sucked so bad.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's rough.
And my heart goes out to them because, like I said, with the language barrier, it made it even harder for them. You know what I mean? I felt bad they couldn't at least argue with the cops efficiently.
Yeah,
and I didn't feel like it was really my place to get in there.
Yeah.
But I did argue with the cops at one point. We'll talk about that later in the show, too. We talked about civil rights and all kind of good stuff.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Becky Quivers Arling says, can we talk about AJ riding through the mountains while taking pictures? This guy is a badass. We're going to get to that later on the show. But, hey, man, listen, it's going to be such a great show. We have Dennis Manning, the originator of the Bubs number 7 Streamliner, and many, many things before that we're going to talk about. Chris Rivas, one of the fastest human beings on planet Earth. Together, they are mounting an effort to go after the 400-mile-an-hour motorcycle land speed record this year. And
400 miles an hour.
400. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? But it's going to be off the hook. We're going to get to that right after we come back from watching this cool feature bike. Probably do news later on in the show because I want to get to this part really quick. So stick around. We're going to watch this feature bike, come back, and talk to them right away. You're watching Shop Talk.
Out of Focus is brought to you by Garage Build. Submit your build, share your passion. Powered by Dennis Kirk.
My name is Dale Carlson from Princeton, Minnesota. This motorcycle came to me just kind of by chance. I saw it on Facebook Marketplace and I was looking to get rid of a bike. I had a R1200 GS. I had a nice bad accident with it and it was not as fun to ride after that anymore. So I wanted to get something cool. I talked to the guy who had this. We were just doing a straight trade. This bike and this paint and this finish, the motor choice, all of this stuff, I have all the documentation for. They wanted it to go somewhere. I wanted it because it turned out to be a Kenny Boyce. These are bikes that I looked at in magazines when I was a kid. If you remember like early Jesse James, before he had tattoos, these are the bikes and these are the parts he was peddling parts for. These are newest stuff. He was a one owner, built in 1997. I like this guy's style. I would have hit it off with this guy. I had to change it up. It had those pullback bars on it. I can't hang with that. That was uncomfortable. I'm not big, but I don't know how you guys did that. That was a lot. You know, this thing, it runs good, feels good. It's an amazing ride motorcycle, but this thing came out being a Kenny Boyce orange bike. It's cool. I had to change it up. I put the Arlen Ness risers on it. These are Arlen Ness Petite series pieces. I had to buy parts catalogs to find that out, so I knew what to look up when I was looking for parts like this. But the original ones had 2 buttons, and I wanted it like my Harley controls. So I designed new pieces, put it together, so now they have 4 buttons. I measured all the parts, had to send it out to get machined, and it came together real cool. I love the controls. It's a 113 SNS Pro Street. This thing is scary, man. You guys are nuts. But this is awesome. It's comfortable to ride now. I like where the handlebars are, and it still has a digital dash. Custom mount, 3D printed right now. Machined aluminum is not cheap, but 3D printing it'll hold. Made it here. I sketched it out on a whiteboard with my kids one day, and we were just like drawing on it and stuff, and I kind of had this, we came up with a little bit of a vision. And then the headlight, it's a 7-inch bucket. I have no idea what it's off of, but it's got the blue indicator light and everything. My buddy has had that in his garage for better than 15 years. It's been passed around, but nobody has ever used it. And then I was helping him clean it out, and he's like, dude, you want this? We always called it the Eye of God. Like, who the hell wants that? What are you gonna put that on? I don't know what you're gonna put that on. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna put it on this bike. That's what I'm gonna do. So I put it on there. It's got a Jeep headlight in there. I love a bright headlight. It matches all the LED white lights anyways, and that's my bike, man. My name is Dale Carlson. I'm from Princeton, Minnesota, and I'm a Dennis Kirk garage builder.
Everything we do at the track shapes what we build for the street and the dirt.
You can see how bad these guys want it. The race to the line.
For us, racing is not for the trophies or the glory. We compete because it makes everything we do faster, more durable, and tested to a higher standard. For S&S, racing is the ultimate in proven performance, and we've been proving it since 1958.
Hey, it's Billy from Twisted Tea. We're live in Sturgis, and you're watching Shop Talk.
Oh, nice. Paul Yaffe product, huh?
Yeah, man, so excited.
Got a new build?
I do. It's. Aren't you Paul Yaffe?
No, I've never met the guy. But I do know you can get all of his products at DenisKirk.com.
There you go.
Just me? Awesome. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Listen to Not Paul Yaffe. Get all your Bagger Nation products right now at DenisKirk.com.
Want to go deeper than the ride? Cycle Source Television takes you there. Custom bikes, great rides and adventures, shop tours, tech, music and parties, plus the people who live this lifestyle. Stream Cycle Source Television anytime, anywhere. CycleSourceTV.com. Start your ride today.
All right, welcome back to the Dennis Kirk Motorcycle Studio. You are watching Shop Talk. What a fantastic night to be tuning in. We're glad that you're here. I think the whole crew is ready for this story because, man, 400 miles an hour is a big number. That is a big goal to set, buddy. Mark, you have a lot of time around motorcycles and racing on the drag race strip. That's a big number, right?
400 mile an hour.
Yep.
I couldn't even imagine.
And you know, with the history that these two gentlemen have behind them, there's if it's going to happen, it definitely happened with them. So we're going to bring on.
It's super cool.
Go ahead.
Like you were saying before, super cool. The energy of the Salt and all of this coming together with them, the 400, Dennis Manning. Like, dude, there's so much history here. Yeah. Hurry up.
Yep. Let's get them on. All right, fellas, for everybody that doesn't know, on the top part of the screen, Mr. Chris Rivas. On the bottom part, Mr. Dennis Manning. How you guys doing?
Great. Glad to be with you guys.
Right on, man. This is exciting, right? So, Dennis, I want to start off with you, and I want you to tell me a little bit about what it means to be going for this effort.
What, me or Chris?
You, Dennis.
Well, having had the record a number of times, you start to understand some of the motivation behind this particular attempt. I first wanted the record when I was like 18 years old, went to Bonneville with a dream, and in 1970 with Cal Rayburn and George Smith and that whole bunch, I came home with a dream in my pocket. You don't ever realize how much it means to you until you lose it.
Oh.
And I built 7 machines. That's why the name of the bike is 7. Now, with Rivas, you bring the best soldier to the game. The motorbike is ready. It is a tested piece. The last machine got the record at 350, and then got the record again at 367, and I have an official time slip for 373.
Wow.
This machine is exactly the same but different. It's a little smaller. Motor makes a little bit more horsepower, and we got one hell of a good rider. He's already ridden the machine. He's comfortable in it, and that means a lot. Streamliners are really tough. You're sitting on your ass 5 inches off the ground, going through a measured mile in less than 10 seconds, it brings on a whole different motorcycling experience. I do have a bit of a problem. Chris will back me up on this. People talk about 400 miles an hour. It's easy to say. It's extraordinarily hard to do. The first goal is 376 miles an hour. If I go 378, I'm happy because I have achieved the record again. And that's what really motivates me. This machine is so different than anything in motorcycling. The chassis is made of carbon fiber and Kevlar. The motor, my own design. We cast the motor pieces, machined the pieces, and did extensive engine development with the motor. This isn't an off-the-shelf, buy it and go run it type of machine. If you want it, you design it, probably screw it up a couple of times, and then you finally come to grips with Bonneville, and it's the ultimate test. Then you'll find out just how good you are. This machine, Chris will ride, has a 4-speed gearbox. First gear, we tow him up to 50 miles an hour, and he lets go, and the top of first gear is 200 miles an hour.
Wow.
The top of second gear, 270. Top of third gear, about 340. And yes, the motorcycle is geared to go 400 miles an hour. If he can achieve 8,000 RPM in the measured mile, he'll go 4. That's awful scary, though. Like I said, it's a measured mile in less than 10 seconds.
And this is I want to back up for just a second, because you went through the beginning of your coronation into the world of land speed racing. You went through it so fast. It says in the AMA Hall of Fame, at 24 years old, Dick O'Brien handpicked you as part of this legendary team, and the other guys that were on this team, man, Cal Rayborn, and doing the fuel, George Smith Sr., Warner Riley was on the team. Like you guys were building a legend in what you were doing. Yeah, it was incredible. And you said like every other kid wanted to be a major league outfielder. I wanted to be Mickey Thompson. And from that point on, they brought you onto this team because of your engineering prowess, and machine after machine, like you said, 7 of them, machine after machine, you kept taking the feedback from what you guys were getting at Bonneville and making a better machine and going after this.
Well, you could say I'm a slow learner, Chris. Also is tenacious. I tried with the Harley. The first machine was not the Harley. It was a Suzuki, and the Bonneville got rained out that year. Then I came back, and I had a machine that I was building, and Dick O'Brien saw me run it at Speed Week. I rode the thing right at 200 miles an hour. At the time, the record was 247 miles an hour. I wasn't that far off. He saw the opportunity and thought if we put together a team that we could eclipse the record. Funny thing, we went 265, 492. One direction, we went 268, which pretty darn remarkable. And that machine has been in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum for some time. Sometimes I think it's gone over to Harley, though. The next time, the record got broken by Vesco with a double-engined Yamaha thing. And I wanted to go back, and I needed a motor. And I called up Marge Smith and see if we could get a motor for the thing. And okay, and that worked with Dan Kinsey, who happens to be the bravest guy I've ever known.
All right.
Remarkable guy. In between there, though, I had a double engine Triumph, and then it crashed with Boris Murray in it, and a double engined Norton, which is now on display in the National Motorcycle Museum in Birmingham, England. So I couldn't get the horsepower, and it turned out the shape that had been designed by a prominent aerodynamicist and tested in the Caltech wind tunnel just wasn't good enough. I had to put together a better thing. So I designed, with a guy named Joe Harrelson, designed my own motor. And that's a triumph all in its own, because all along the line, I was confronted with, what the hell's wrong with you, Dennis? What will you build the Streamliner for? You could only run it one place in the world, and maybe 3 or 4 times that time. Can you make any money with it? No. Will you ever be famous? Hell no. Why? Some people don't understand. People that go to Bonneville and attempt a record and get it, they understand.
Amen.
For me, getting the record is the tattoo you wear on the inside. It's not a big, huge accomplishment. It is an accomplishment, but it's not something you're going to read on the front page of the New York Times.
Amen.
Building my own motor, my own transmission, doing the aerodynamics myself after a salmon. It proved to be good. And with Chris Carr, we went real fast.
Well, there's a couple things.
Chris got tired and didn't want to do it again, and I was looking for a rider. And I was actually looking for money, because I never have enough of the damn stuff. Valerie Thompson came to me and really wanted to ride it. And I thought the motorcycle was good enough where she could ride it. And she did. She ended up getting a record in Australia at 328 miles an hour and going over 300 miles an hour at Bonneville. Make her the fastest woman, period, stop on 2 wheels.
Wow.
She crashed it, though, at 350. Came away with an owie on her right arm, or no, it was on the right arm. And we were lucky and we were good. But I came back and I wanted to go again. So I had to build a new machine. The crew got tired and left. Virtually. They just said, no more, Dennis. This is your madness. You can do what you want with it. So I built a whole new bike. And so out of the Rolodex, who would I ask to ride it again? I tried the advertising way one time when I was looking for a rider, and Valerie came. But I got the craziest people in the world. I had a guy that told me that he doesn't walk right because his balls were too big. I had another guy who said he had enough hair on his ass to weave an Indian rug. That's not what I was after. What I was after in Chris is thoughtful, mature, been there, and the biggest thing, he wants it. He's going to do things he's never had to do before. You think about that. He's going to go where nobody else has gone, and he's got to do it. He's going to be very lonely going over 300 miles an hour. Not for long, but it's an accomplishment that everyone who's gone really fast in my machines get out and went, okay, I've done it. I'm special. I remember Cal Rayburn saying, for the first time, he feels like he was above anybody else in the assembly of motorcyclists. You think about that. And I hope we could do that for Chris. 400 miles an hour? Oh, it's something nice to talk about. And the machine is prepared to do it. But we're all dependent on Mother Nature. Is the salt going to be good enough? Is the wind going to be calm enough? I have no problem with Chris And the motorbike, we put so much testing in it. You know, it's right. And you have to ask Chris all about his motivations.
Well, in this, I want to talk about that for a second, because I'm not sure anybody that hasn't had the salt fever and got the addiction to this stuff, you don't understand. It's not just about do you have the balls to pin that throttle. The salt becomes a whole factor in this. The condition of the salt, it's soft in spots, it's hard in spots. It's almost like alive. And every run that you're doing, you're either facing the wind or against the wind or crosswinds. And there's so many different things to it that, like when Dennis says that you need to find a driver that's mature, because you have to know when it's time to not go further with the throttle, because these are not cheap machines, man. I mean, you pile up this guy's life work across 10 miles of the salt flats, and that's a lot of money going down.
Pile yourself up.
Right?
Yeah. Let's not forget piling yourself up at 400 mile an hour.
Absolutely.
Sweet effing Jesus.
But I want you to talk for 1 second, Dennis. I got lucky enough one year in Bonneville a few years ago that I got the pit beside John Yates on a year that he came back, and he was talking about 1 year with this streamliner that the canopy got messed up, and you guys actually took it out into the desert and found a place to dig out a rut in the mud and reform that canopy.
That was John Yates.
What was it?
John Yates was a high school friend. Quite a guy. Drag racing in Southern California, presenting Yates, AA fuel dragster, the best of the best. But back in those days, and even now in racing, there's a thing called a thrash, where you're presented with a problem and you just thrash on it as long as it takes with whatever you have to deal with it. John, what happened was, his Cal hated the parachute. Because when you let the parachute out, it's there. You can't do anything about it. You can't modify it, nothing. It's there, and if there's a little bit of side wind, it is something to really be reckoned with. Cal, thinking that he was going to fix all that, put the skids down at over 200 miles an hour. And when he did, it was this giant catapult, just pushed him in the air. We saw him flipping in the air 2 miles away. We could see the whole bike rotating in the air. Somebody asked him, what was it like? And he says, white, blue, white, blue, white, blue. But I was crapped out because I thought, that's it. The motorcycle's junk. As it turned out, it wasn't. The monocoque that I built out of aluminum stood up perfect, not a problem. And we got back to the Texaco station where they let us work on the thing. And it was October. It was starting to get cold. And so when we took the canopy off, we put it underneath the trailer, between the car and the trailer. Well, it got real cold, and someone overstoked a potbelly stove with coal, and the fire got out of control. So the best thing to do is Clyde Denzer jumped in the truck, and he was going to get the whole thing out. Well, when he did, he ran right over the canopy.
Oh,
the canopy was turned into this flat piece of aluminum. Yates, not a problem. Now, bear in mind, he not only did it over a rock, he did it out in the dark amongst the rattlesnakes and every other thing.
Wow.
with a hammer and whatever. I think he jumped up and down on it a lot. And when it was all done, the damn thing worked.
And man, I'm telling you, that's the real story
Those
of
are the
Bonneville.
stories.
Yeah, that's it. Like,
Yep.
if you think you're going to go see a stadium full of people watching these guys race these things, you're not.
Oh, yeah.
You're not.
Nope.
It's some tents spread out in the middle of nothing, and this is the attitude that you have to have, because when you go into town is miles away. I don't even think there's a proper hardware store there, like a half-assed hardware store. There's nothing. You see guys come out here.
There is.
There is now?
Yeah, well, I bring it. You've seen my trailer.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Trailer
about.
is a kind of a self-serve.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a complete warehouse of spares, and along with a big tarp that fits off the side. It's a pretty interesting piece.
Oh, you know what? The other question I want to ask you before we go to Chris and talk to him a little bit about this too. Where in the actual hell do you come up with the salmon to fall? Because if you didn't hear that, and it squeezed in here a little bit, was that he took the cues, the dimensions from a salmon to make the number 7 streamliner. And did that start with the 7?
Okay. I had an aerodynamicist design a new shell or a new shape right after we got the record at 265. He was a prominent guy, did cars, fantastic. And we went into the wind tunnel at Caltech and knew what the coefficient of drag was. And I was sold, we wind tunneled, that's great. Finally, though, with my motor in it, normally aspirated, we didn't have enough area, in Bonneville. So I elected to go to Australia with Rocky Robinson riding. It's the first time, though, we had data acquisition in the machine, so I could find out what the thing was doing from an aerodynamic standpoint, front suspension, rear suspension. Rocky went 298 miles an hour. The motor blew up. The Aussie told me I had a leg out of bed, which in Australia means you've got a rod right off the bottom of the motor and you're leaking pretty good. Anyway, it was darn obvious that this shape wasn't right because the ass end of the machine weighed 100 pounds at speed.
Wow.
The front weighed 2,500 pounds at speed.
Jesus.
It was nose diving. The air was pushing the nose right into the ground. Came home and I had to do something different. I'm still after the quest. So I went down to a place where it was a wind tunnel place in Southern California. And I went and talked to people that do cars, mostly for Le Mans and Indy cars. And I wanted to know if they had any idea for a shape that would be a better coefficient of drag than what we had. The guy said, look, you got to understand, in our business, getting around corners are the number one thing. Going in a corner, coming out of a corner, the whole business about a corner is 85% of the time of the car on the racetrack. Going down a straightaway, okay, but the forces, we have to push the car down to the ground to get the right forces to go around the corners. And by the way, the drag coefficient that you're looking for is not possible. Came home, went to a glider port, where they tow the airplanes up in the air, the guy glides forever and comes down. Talked to a guy there. He said, we don't go that fast. Number one. Number two, we got to stay in the air. So yeah, they're a lot slipperier than the Indy car, but nothing like what you want. Shit. So one evening, I'm drinking wine, watching 60 Minutes, and they had a story on the salmon going up and down the Columbia River and how the salmon build a lot of speed and they go up these big steps to go up the river. And they said something about how fast the salmon would go, but I don't know. I happen to know a fella, he's gone to heaven now, but he was the dean of agriculture at the University of Missouri, and his specialty were fish. He was an ichthyologist. And I asked him, how fast can a salmon swim? He said, for a short distance, 50 miles an hour.
Wow.
No kidding.
Now, 50 miles an hour in water, factor of 8.
Oh, yeah.
That's a 400-mile-an-hour shape you're looking at. That was it. I was going to. I'm sold. I want to build something that looks like that. On the way to it, though, I discovered aerodynamic research that were being done back east in the wind tunnel, and they published all the shapes and all the designs. There was the salmon again, just staring at me. Didn't have eyes, but it was a salmon.
Okay.
So I started all over by building a buck or a male shape of a salmon. It's 25 foot long, 21 inches wide, and 31 inches tall. And we went to Bonneville with Chris Carr and Joe Harrelson, the designer of the motor with me, said we want to coast it down to see just how good it is. We have some idea that this thing is really extraordinary, but let's take it up to speed and let Chris coast it. Took it up to 60 miles an hour. Chris let loose. 2 miles later, the thing was still going 54 miles an hour.
Wow. So you
Pretty
knew
darn
you had
remarkable.
it. Yeah, you knew you had it right there.
Out of that, Harold introduced what the coefficient of drag was. Okay? But don't say anything, Dennis, because people will be convinced you're bullshitting them. I had an opportunity to put the thing in the tunnel in North Carolina called the A² wind tunnel. They put the thing in the tunnel. Don Tilley was in there with a lot of his NASCAR friends because he wanted to see how the thing run. The thing, you have to set a thing in it sideways, both ways, to make sure that you got it good and straight. You can move it around a lot, but the fella that runs the tunnel asked if I could, if it was okay if he announced how slippery it was. I have no problem with that. You know, I'm holding my breath because Harrelson had already told me how it was, but, you know, we didn't know for sure. So bear in mind, in that wind tunnel, a NASCAR has a coefficient of drag of 0.45. A flat piece of something with a silhouette of whatever you want to test is 1.00. So the NASCAR is just a little bit better than half. Like a drag bike, 0.6, not necessarily really good. I'm told Chris could tell you it's better than that, but, you know, say a bagger that guy's gone so damn fast on is very, very dirty in the air. They announced the coefficient of drag, 0.08.
Wow.
The boys from NASCAR went crazy. Tilly said, "You boys better check, see if that son of a bitch is in there." So, with that, if you take the coefficient of drag of 0.8, the frontal area that the machine has, and the weight, which, because it's all carbon composite, the motorbike only weighs 1,482 pounds wet, and then we put Chris in it. You put all that together, yes, 400 miles an hour is possible. But maybe I'm just a little bit shy about that. Most people who go to Bonneville and yell about how fast they're going to go end up going home with a tail between their legs.
Boy, and you've seen them over the years too. I know that because if you guys don't also know this, there wouldn't even be Bonneville motorcycle racing if it wasn't for Denis, his whole family. You know, the effort that has been put in over the years, not just for him to do this, but for all of us to have the opportunity to enjoy a motorcycle only program there. And that comes down to how many times you get to run.
That's something that I dreamt about. I'm sorry, Chris, but I was in England drag racing in 1965, and we went to a race down in Brands Hatch. And going through the pits, and I'm only 19 years old, but I'm going through the pits, and I hear these different voices with different languages. And later on, I thought, wouldn't that be neat if we had a truly international event at Bonneville for motorcycles? At the time, Bub Enterprises was doing pretty darn well. I was making pretty good money. Aristotle says, plant square and harvest round. If you're not giving away some, you're not making enough. With the help of Delvine, which we met at Lake Gardner, we put together the event. Had to rewrite rules, had to do a lot of things because it just wasn't on the map for AMA, and then we literally had to rewrite all the rules for FIM. But I'm as proud of doing that as I am any of the records that I hold.
Right on. Right on. We sure do appreciate it too.
Here's something from I mean, I've been a fan of Bonneville my whole life, and me and Chris made it on the way back from Reno one year. No racing, no nothing. It was, I think, just me, him, and a bunch of puddles. It had rained pretty good. And to sit here, you know, I'm thinking to myself, I probably have a million questions, but on the other hand, I love these interviews that you're so interesting to listen to. I haven't gotten a word in edgewise because I'm too busy listening to you. Like, this is history for the people that are totally into this racing, and even to get Chris on here with his history of drag racing. Like, to me, this is what this culture is all about. This follow. You dedicated your life to this, and now, like you're saying, you're going back there pushing for 400 mile an hour. That has to make you feel proud after
a whole
everything that
threshold.
you've done and the part of this industry that you are.
Yep.
Yeah, well, here I am in my barn by myself, and it comes time to Dennis, what kind of gear are you going to put on this thing for this year? And I think to myself, how many people have had to put 400 mile an hour gearing on their motorcycle?
Yeah.
That made me sit back and a cup of coffee and go, wow. One more deep part of history that I hope you'll like. In 1970, with Cal Rayburn and Dick O'Brien and that whole business, with Joe Petrali.
Yeah.
Joe Petrali had held the record many years before, and I got to know the guy pretty darn well. And a guy that I worked with, Jim Underwood, was his mechanic when Petrali won every national for a year and a half. You ready for that? Wow. Every national, flat track, hill climb, you throw it at him. He and Jim won every one of them. So Jim said, Dennis, if you get a chance to be with Petrali in his little trailer, ask him to see his AMA card. So that was burning to me. I had to do it. I went up to Mr. Petrali. You know, I knew that he was in the Spruce Goose with Howard Hughes when that went up. I mean, this guy's done a lot of stuff. But
yeah.
Can I see your AMA card? It was number one.
No way.
Wow.
And
that's cool.
And I said, so, Mr. Petrali, how did you come to having, you know, I'm thinking all these race wins and all that. He says, how did you come to have number one on your card? Well, he says, I had a kind of a love affair type of thing. I was having sex with the girl making the cards.
Oh my God, I didn't see that one coming. I'm sorry. All right, well, listen, funny. let's move over first. Go ahead.
I've hogged things up. Please let Chris. He's articulate and he's got a bigger story than me.
No, you know what, buddy? You are absolutely a treat to have on here, and honor for us. Thank you so much. It really is. It really is great. I was so excited that Pete said that you guys were into this, and I can't wait to follow up with this whenever you crush this shit. So thank you so much. But Chris, it sounds like I mean, you know, the stage is set, man. I'm a legend in motorcycle racing in Bonneville. Like pretty much the architecture, the guy that put all the architecture down for how to even do this stuff. So all you got to do is just slip in there and go faster than any man ever before.
Just get and ride real quick. No big deal.
It's just that easy. I wish.
Well, listen, all joking aside, Chris is no slouch either. I mean, as far as the world of motorcycle racing, we were looking over his credits and pre-show, and I mean, my God, from NHRA and HDRA and just championship after championship after championship. If it has two wheels, this man will ride it like a scolded dog. So you are absolutely well equipped for this, and even when it comes to Bonneville, you're not a rookie racer at Bonneville.
No, not at all. No, I've been pretty fast out there. I've been my whole career's been on V-twin stuff. It's always been Harley Davidson based engines. I got to be really good friends with the family at S&S Cycle, and they've always supported all of my racing efforts because I've never ridden any kind of a metric bike in any kind of sanctioning body racing or nothing else. I just don't ride them. It's all V-twin American made stuff, and very proud of that because that's every record that I've ever had, and my daughter too. I've built bikes for her, and she's got actually double the records that I do.
No kidding.
So, but the V-twin stuff, there's a few little niche things that you want to do. One of my goals in life, I started as in a dealership. I actually started as a mechanic in the mid-90s, and I thought, man, wouldn't it be neat to have one of these things actually go 200 miles an hour one day? And I was looking at the Electroglide standard that had come out, and people are like, those bikes will never be fast. That's the old man geezer glide kind of a deal, and they'll just never be fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, why not? Why couldn't they be? So I dreamed a lot, and I got really involved into drag racing. And of course, I chose a Sportster and started out with all my own builds. And the things that I did was, local drag racing became track championship a few years in a row, and upset all of the metric bike guys. They hated me because I was the only Harley guy out there, and I was kicking their butts. And then I started racing the Western series of the AHDRA and became a champion in the super gas category, which is a 970 index class. And so my Sportster would run 920s really, but I would chop the throttle to make it run 970. I had a really good routine with that bike.
Wow.
And I won the championship very easily with it. And everybody thought I was cheating with electronics, but I just knew the bike really well. And so after I did that, I decided Pro Stock was the way for me to go. It was the next step up into the chain. And I built my own Pro Stock bike and went out. And it was not a pretty thing. I got schooled right away with that deal. But I made friends, and of course, with the S&S products, there was plenty of support for it. And I actually finished second in the series that year, even though I really had no idea what I was doing in that deal. And had a guy come up to me in the middle of the season, and he said, I've been watching you race, and you don't really win all the time, but I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for somebody that has a good head on their shoulders, seem to be happy whether you win, lose, just enjoying the sport and enjoying motorcycles. And he said, I'd like for you to race for me. And I said, no, thank you. I appreciate the offer, but my dad and I have done this racing because I used to race with him in cars when I was really young, and just out of high school and just after. And, when the cars became too expensive, that's really when I turned my attention to the motorcycle thing because it was cheaper to go faster. And so anyways, this guy, he offers me the job as a rider for his bike, and I just said no, I don't really want to do that. And besides that, in the NHRA, which is what he was talking about for pro stock motorcycle, all that was running was Suzuki's. And there was a team that had just started with George Bryce and George Smith that were running a V-twin S&S powered Buell, but there was only one of those. They had a prototype bike and there was only one. And, you know, this fantastic rider, Chip Ellis, was riding it. And I said, yeah, I wouldn't do that anyways because I ride American bikes only. So the guy says, hold on, let me reintroduce myself and tell you about what I'm doing, because we're going to buy the second bike of this prototype. And it's going to be one of those S&S powered V-twins, and we need you as the rider. I said, where do I sign, brother? Let's go.
Yeah, right.
Oh man, I just couldn't believe it, because I had been watching some of that on TV, you know, and I said, are you serious? You're going to let me do that and ride that bike? You know, they were already getting close to breaking the 6-second barrier at the time at, you know, 190 mile an hour plus. And the fastest I had been was somewhere in the mid 8-second bracket, you know, and I was like, there's a big difference between going 8 seconds in the quarter mile and going 6. There's a really big difference. So I, you know, signed the contract, did the deal, and S&S built the bikes, and my sponsor actually, you know, had the second prototype bike. And one of the pictures that you guys have there is a picture of the black bike when I have the red helmet with the yellow flames. And that was my debut event. And we actually, that one right there, yeah, that's a good picture of that. So I was just learning to ride that bike in that shot. I think that was my second pass ever on that bike.
Jeez.
And you know, when you throw the clutch on that, the throttle's all the way wide open. You throw the clutch in first gear at 6,000 RPM, and the tire's 10 inches wide, and it grabs really hard. It's 3 Gs it pulls at the starting line. So you have to know how to hang on with your body. You can't hold on with your arms because you'll break the handlebars.
Ooh.
So it's a very special technique to ride that bike. But I figured it out pretty quick, and by the third event, I was in the final round in Atlanta, riding against the factory Harley-Davidson team.
Nice.
And just kind of lost my head a little bit, you know, because I was a rookie, and I didn't win the event, but I did get runner-up in my third event ever on that bike. And nice. I did that for 5 seasons, and the last season I was the rider for S&S Cycle, sponsored by Drag Specialties, with George Bryce and George Smith, the owner of S&S, as the crew chiefs and builders. And
cool.
It was a huge thing for my career, you know, and I got to know obviously the family of S&S Cycle really well. And so the support from them became bigger and bigger. But 2008 was my standout season, and I won 4 out of the 16 events. And we were contending for the championship. I was 5 points shy of getting the championship when the season finally ended. I won the last 2 races in a row against the factory Harley-Davidson team. That was 2 of my Wally trophies, winning against them guys. And, you know, it was a real special time, but 2008, the bottom fell out and we lost all of our funding, and
yeah, buddy,
couldn't do it no more. And you know, S&S Cycle was not in a very good place financially, and they sure couldn't fund it anymore. So I talked to George Smith about, you know, what do I do? I mean, I'm number 2 in the points. I'm supposed to come back next year with a big number 2 on my body panels and, you know, represent, you know, what are we going to do? And he's like, I'm sorry, I just can't do nothing. And I said, well, what about Bonneville? Because that's your guys' heritage anyways. What about Bonneville? My whole life, I've always wanted to do drag racing because my dad was a drag racer. And then once I got involved in that, I was like, Bonneville, holy cow. You mean you don't have to stop at a quarter of a mile? You can keep your foot in it, you know? And what would that be like, right? So, because I was so into the cars at the time. But once I got on a motorcycle, you know, I was really consistent, really good with it, and I knew how to ride a bike really well. I didn't grow up doing dirt bikes or nothing like that. I grew up riding a Harley-Davidson on the street. That was my first motorcycle. And, you know, and then drag racing, and I stayed really true to it. And then in 2009, they sponsored me with a lot of parts, engine parts and transmission parts, and gave me a little bit of a bonus check to buy some of the components I needed. And I bought a frame and parts of a bike, and I built. At the time, it was the world's fastest bagger. It's a beautiful blue 1999 Road Glide with a big thumping stereo in it and a 21-inch front wheel. And I went out there to be the world's fastest bagger. And the record at the time, yeah, that's the one right there. And I had some help with Carl Brewer, a very good friend of mine that we lost a few years back. And, it was... That was a great bike, man. It was such an attention getter. While I was at the line right there with the SETA event, getting ready to make a run, I had the stereo full blast, and those starters that are standing in the background just shaking their heads.
Oh, he was that guy.
They just thought it was the dumbest thing ever, But it's part of the gimmick. I actually enjoy that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There's always that guy.
Yeah, try to be. So the record was 146 miles an hour, and I thought, that's just silly. Of course I can go 146. I had dynoed the bike at my own shop in California. I knew what it would do. And so they said, well, this is your first license pass, so you have to keep it under 150. And I was like, oh no, 146 to 150. What happens if I go over 150? They said, well, you're done for the week. We won't let you race no more. You have to go home. But I have to get a record, and they said, oh, you won't do that on your first event. So thought about it. I had one of those little Garmin GPS units, that they used to have back in the day before, every cell phone had all that junk in it. And
right.
I duct taped it to the dash over the stereo and did it right away, real quick, right there before I was trying to make my run. And when I got out into the middle of the course, I looked down, I was doing like 158 miles an hour. I was like, oh no, okay. So I backed out of the throttle and I cruised across like right at 150. And I came back because I wanted the record so bad, especially on the first time when they said you just can't do it. So I came back, I got the ticket from the little trailer, the speed ticket, and it said 150.15. I was like, oh, no. I went over 150, It was just barely. So I had to take it back to the starter to have him sign off so I could actually get my license to go faster. But I had broke the record with that run. So I took it back to him and kind of held my head down low, and I handed him the ticket, not looking at him. And he looks at it and he says, didn't I tell you not to go over 150? Yes, sir, you did. He says, is there a record in this class? Oh, yes, sir, there was. And he said, well, what was that? I said, it's 146. And he goes, and you went 150 on your first pass ever out here? Yes, sir, I did. He says, let me see your hand. So I pick up my hand and he slaps my hand. And then he says, now I want to shake your hand. Very good job.
Okay. Wait one second.
Run and I backed that up. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The comment box is filling up. Everybody wants to know, what were you listening to?
Oh, Van Halen, of course. Come on. Yeah, I always have Van Halen crank, man. Some Mean Streets and some really good songs from some of the, first original albums. Love that stuff.
Right on.
That's always playing. But yeah, so I backed up that record the next morning. The way they do their thing, is
wow.
You have to back it up the next day. So I set the record in that class, and then I changed some of the lettering on the bike and registered for a new class and set another record on it. So I went home with 2 records on that bike that year. And I thought, man, that was too easy. What are we going to do now? And then I started seeing people that are talking about, that's so slow. I ride my Suzuki to work in the morning. I do over 150 miles an hour all the time. And that's just a bunch of junk, And I was like, I can't believe it. Everybody's always such a hater. You haven't been to Bonneville, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that on the freeway on a Suzuki, but come on.
Yep.
So I had the idea, okay, now it's time for the 200-mile-an-hour baggers. So that's what I'm going to build. And I thought, I really got spoiled in 2009. I showed up to Bonneville, I set a bunch of records, and I went home. And then I went back 2 weeks later at the Bubs event, Denis's event that he built. And we went 166 miles an hour was the fastest that I had gone on that bike before I parked it, and didn't do no more of that. But built the 200-mile-an-hour bagger with a really big engine, 168 cubic inch V-twin, makes 240 horsepower on carburetors with gasoline, 15-to-1 compression. It's bad to the bone, 7,500 RPM motor. It's really a good deal. And I took it out for the first year, unloaded like I did the previous year, and floored that thing, left the starting line, got out about, I don't know, maybe a quarter to half a mile out. Got into a steering head shake and lost the front end and wrecked the bike and broke my hand, and it's just hurt my feelings bad. That was the worst thing. It humbled me. And then I was scared to even ride a bike anymore after that, because the head shake really just tore me up. So I put the bike on a lift in my shop where I had to walk by it every day to look at it. And one day I noticed, looking at it, that the steering head angle was all wrong. So I did a bunch of research on the geometry of front end. How does all that work? What is rake really? What is trail? What do all these numbers really mean, and how does it work? So after I did all my research, I took a big saw and I cut the whole front end off of the bike. Just cut it completely off. And I made some side plates and I welded it back on and got more rake and more trail and a bigger front wheel to get even more rake out of it. And I ran it at Bonneville the next year. I went like 195 miles an hour, but I kept blowing up pistons and had transmission parts and all that. And Bonneville lets you know what the weakest link is every time. So every time you go, there's going to be something. There's always a weak link, and you figure it out. And so I had CP making pistons for me by batches. They were making pistons of different types, and finally came up with the right kind of piston that would survive that long distance, because it's a 4.8 inch bore. It's a really, really big piston. And just the amount of heat it had to carry was pretty bad. And anyways, got all that straightened out. I built my own transmission gears by taking gears from other transmissions and swapping it all around and getting the ratios the way I needed it to. And the following year, I actually was able to go 204 miles an hour on the bike you see right here behind me.
Wow.
Yeah, buddy.
So I just never had the, it's like, I hate to say my baby. A lot of people say that. It's not my baby. It's one of my proudest achievements, really. That bike right there, Crane Cams, was one of my sponsors. CP has always been a really big sponsor. Bassani Exhaust made the exhaust pipe by hand for that thing. 2 big giant carburetors sticking out of the bodywork right there on the side. And 204 miles an hour on that thing was probably one of the sketchiest things I've ever done. It was never stable. It was never really fun to ride. But we did it, and it's the first ever. And I've been told that there's some guys that may come out this year from a factory that's going to try to do it, and do it, maybe at a higher speed with their baggers. And if they do it, then whatever, I guess that's okay, because there's only one that's the first.
That's it, buddy.
So, and then a couple of years after, SNS called me up and they wanted to start getting into some turbo projects, and I didn't really want to do it anymore. I was having a lot of fun building engines for other guys and helping out people like Jay Allen and other people at Bonneville that run some of my engine packages and stuff like that. So but they really wanted me to do it, and they were offering to pay for all of it. So why not? So I built a Dyna off of a bunch of eBay parts that I bought, the frame from eBay and swing arm and wheels and all that kind of stuff, you know, and put it together the right way with a 143 cubic inch crate motor that S&S supplied with a turbo. And we went 244 miles an hour on that turbocharged Dyna. It was, at the time, it was the fastest sit-on Harley Davidson motorcycle ever.
Nice.
So there's a couple questions we want to get to real quick. A lot of people were talking about the size. Is there a for racing a streamliner, for doing speed trials? Is there a specific size? Is there, you can't be any bigger than this? Is it? Can you talk about that for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. So the one that we have is part of the designation of that category is, number one, it's a streamliner, so that tells you what the bodywork effect is. And then it's a 3000 cc, so you can have anything up to 3000 cc. That's that class. It's
Can I interrupt?
Yep.
Chris, when they measure it after you get the record, you're going to find that it's 2,997.5 cubic inches.
Yeah, it depends on how hot it is.
Yeah. So it's
yeah, right.
Yeah, we might have to cool it down and slip in there under the thing. Yeah.
Right. Yep, I've actually had to do that before too. You know, they come and sometimes they try to tech you right away, and I'm like, no, let this thing cool down. We're a little bit close. So I'm sure that's going to be part of the situation, because those bores do grow with heat. For sure.
Yep.
But yeah, we're running the turbocharged bike, so that's blown category. That's considered part of that categorization, blown. And then it's fuel, because we run alcohol, pure methanol. But yeah, you could do, like, at one point, I actually had talked to Dennis about him possibly building another streamliner for me. This was years ago, that we could have almost like a cartridge where we could put different engines in. So we could set a record in the 1000 cc, 1200 cc, 1600 cc, 2000 cc, all of them, step it all the way up, and use the same bike with a cartridge holding each engine combination, to where we could just slip it in, hook up the chain, slip it out, put in the next one, and run that, and it was a little above my budget at the time, so we didn't do it.
So the couple
Don't you hate when that happens?
Right, dude. I run out of budget so fast. I feel just like Dennis said. I never have enough of the shit.
No.
Yeah.
A couple more.
That damn tree.
Couple more questions were: what is the fastest Chris has gone so far? How tall is he? And will Chris have piloted this machine in testing before he makes passes at Bonneville?
So the fastest I've been was the 244 miles an hour on the turbocharged Dyna. And ironically enough, that's actually my original competition number. So I thought they were just announcing my competition number and not a record that I had set. So, they said Chris Rivas went 244, and I was like, oh, that's just my number. How fast did I go, though? And he's like, 244. So it was really ironic. I said, well, if that's the case, I didn't know that was going to happen. I should have maybe signed up for 264 or something. I don't know. But I'm 5'8". That was the second question, I believe.
Yep.
And there's really no place to do any testing on this kind of a vehicle other than at Bonneville itself. So last year was the first year I actually got to be in the bike under its own power. And I made 3 actual tows where I was towed up to speed. The first time was, my first time ever being in it, getting towed. And there's a list of things that need to be done in a very specific order. And I didn't have my list right, to be honest. My mental list wasn't really correct for the first tow up. And so, just being wide open with you guys, let you know, what happened was I got towed up to the speed I was supposed to. I veered out away from the side of the pickup truck to accelerate out. I lifted the skids and I forgot to let go of the tow rope.
Oh.
So the pickup, jerked as he was towing away and pulled the front end out from under me, and we went on the side. But it did no damage to anything at all. It scraped the paint a little bit, and it didn't really hurt my feelings. It's just something that happens. It let me know that I didn't have my processes straight yet.
Yeah.
So I went back to the trailer. We took everything back, took everything apart. The team checked out the bike, checked all that stuff. And then I sat down while they were doing that, and I wrote out all of my processes. And I continue to do that kind of a thing all the time. I have sheets that I handwrite the processes that need to happen.
Yep.
And then I read the processes to myself. And then I read the processes usually to my wife out loud. And then I rewrite it, and then I might have to fix a thing or two. And I go through and I do all of those physical things with my list until my processes are correct. The next time I got in the bike, everything happened as it was supposed to. But we did have to abort the run because it was just a little bit too windy. But when I aborted the run, I was able to pop the chutes, pull off the course, come to a complete safe stop right in front of the ambulance. They were like, wow, you kind of really knew where you were going, didn't you? I was like, well, I would hope so. yeah. That's part of, having to know all those processes. And that mindset really came through of doing those mental laps as I learned from the NHRA, having a bike that accelerates from 0 to 195 miles an hour in 6 seconds.
Wow.
You got to have processes correct. And so it helps a lot with this streamliner too, because I had never ridden in one before. A lot of motorcycles, but this is not your average motorcycle. It doesn't have handlebars. It has joysticks. It has way too many foot pedals in it for a motorcycle. There's an accelerator, a brake lever, a clutch lever, tow to let go of the tow line with your feet. So there's things that you have to do in there, and your processes have to be correct. So yeah, it's tricky.
Well, one of our listeners is reminding us that goal you've set for yourself at 400 or better is literally trying to go 156 miles per hour faster than you ever have before, which is, it kind of
that's nothing.
says only you, but
I've done that going to work in the morning.
Right.
Well, that person goes on to say, how does his family feel about you making this attempt? But I gotta remind everybody who doesn't know. I'm gonna bring this picture up right now, and let you talk about this a little bit too, because I think if anybody would have a case of nervous anxiety, it would be you watching your own daughter do this, right?
Oh yeah.
Huh?
That's actually true. She wanted to start racing when she was 12 years old because she grew up watching me do it basically, and I didn't know about doing all that with her, but she was very persistent. She had never grown up riding motorcycles or anything, so she didn't even have the skills to ride a motorcycle. So we talked about all that stuff, and I decided what I could do is at the Bubs event, they actually allowed children at 12 years old to begin competition as long as on a 250cc motorcycle or less, to control the speed. So I bought the Buell Blast, off of an eBay guy, and I made it into a 250cc bike because it's originally 500. So I made a cylinder and a piston with CP pistons. They made me a real special little piston. And she went, what I did was I built the motor, had to do a lot of head work to get the very small valves in it and all that stuff. And what we did was I put the motorcycle on my dyno at my shop, and I had her come in and learn to ride the motorcycle on the dyno with the front wheel clamped. So she already has ridden bicycles. She knows balance. That wasn't going to be the problem. I knew that. So I taught her how to upshift, downshift, do all the things, and you know, feel what the bike would do, hear what it sounds like at speed, and all that, just so she would know. And had her wearing leathers and her helmet and gloves. And she learned how to ride the motorcycle on the dyno. And about 3 weeks after that, we took it to the Bub's motorcycle meet. And at 12 years old, she went 68 miles an hour and set her first record on it. And that's the most nervous I've ever been in any kind of racing at all, ever, period. I was absolutely sick. I told my wife, I think I've been food poisoned because I'm sick, I'm throwing up. You know, I can't stay out of the bathroom. Like, oh, what is wrong with me? And she said, now you know how I feel.
Yeah, right.
And it was something else, man. I didn't know she knew what to do. You know, it's the big unknown. She had never done it before, and I don't know. So she did a perfect pass on her first run, and I told her, listen, you're not here to really prove anything on the first run. Just do, like, it doesn't matter, 30, 35 miles an hour, whatever feels comfortable to you. And the first run, she went like 65 miles an hour. And I said, what are you doing? She said, well, you said to do whatever's comfortable. I wanted to go faster.
Hey, and you know what, man? Like a lot of times, you know, even it goes back to welding and, you know, things that require a process like you were talking about. 9 times out of 10, you will find that women are better at those things because somehow they automatically track through that process. Women will take the welding. I've seen it 100 times. I've seen women pick up
Body
a welding
work,
yeah. Yep. Because they can pay attention to that process. You know, we get in the moment and we're all just like, ha, 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 and we lose it.
Yeah, she literally did everything that I told her to do, step by step, no gaps. She did everything, you know. And then 2 years later, we made it into a 500cc to where it could go faster, you know, into like the 120s. We thought 120 would probably be the fastest it could ever go. And so I mounted a GoPro, one on the windscreen and one on her helmet, just to see what she sees and to see, you know, what she's doing, where her eyes are and that kind of stuff. And I got to see the shift light through the camera, and she nailed every shift like she was a professional drag racer every time. It was just crazy to me that she was able to nail all the processes so good. And then what?
So now we have to get her. We have to get her on here. We have to get her and hear her.
I was going to say that earlier. Why isn't she with you?
Right.
Well, she's married and has a family. She's at home right now, probably putting the babies to bed.
Oh, well, we gotta get her on here though, because I want to hear the stories behind a lot of this stuff and get it right from her.
It's insane, man, because in that GoPro image, once she started going faster, getting closer to 140 miles an hour, we started seeing that the front end had, you know, a real bad head shake to it. And as the head shake is starting to increase, I'm not watching her let off the throttle or do nothing, you know. And so she's doing at one point 140 miles an hour, going through at 8,500 RPM on this dual blast single cylinder, you know, just screaming the RPM at 140. And I saw the footage. I said, what are you doing? Why didn't you like say something or let off? She said, well, you never told me there was going to be a problem with none of that. It still felt fine. It was going fast. Man, she does follow every step, doesn't she?
I was just gonna say, tell me again, what did they tell you the first time you went out there to not do?
Yeah, 150.15.
Right.
Yeah, 150. So don't do that. But yeah, she's been actually on that little dual blast now. She's been 156 miles an hour.
Wow, good for her. So listen, Dennis, there's some other questions that came in for you too. When you talk about 7 different streamliner machines on your own, what kind of investment have you made in Bonneville, man? If you could you even put a number on it, or like could you bear doing that?
That's funny you should ask. You can't equate it to money. you know, the thing is I can't go to Dennis Kirk and buy anything for that thing. The best thing I could do is go to Jorgensen and buy some aluminum or steel or titanium, or the timing is no big deal. You just do it. I had the bike on display in Detroit, and a fella came up to me and said, Dennis, I know who you are. I'm impressed by what you've done here, but I can't believe the work. He said, you built that whole front end from scratch. That took time. The work, the connotation the man had was work was bad. And I turned to him and I said, you know, sex is work. You don't mind doing that, do you? This isn't a sex thing, but it certainly is. I work. I like to work. I always have. And creating things and finding out at the end that it works or it doesn't is the reward. I mean, I have a barrel full of shit that didn't work.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, right.
It's yeah. So money wise, it's always how much does it cost to get there? Like the truck takes fuel. I pay for the guys' hotel rooms. This year, the guys are kind of helping themselves because money this year is very scarce. The sponsorship that used to come in is less because the motorcycle business is just not what it, you know, Mike Corbin has been right at my side with money every time I go to Bonneville.
Yep.
This year, he's just had to say, Dennis, business, I just can't do it. You know, I'm going to do a little, you know, but I can't do what you want. So it's not just money, but I had to buy carbon, had to buy Kevlar, had to buy stuff, but they're all raw materials.
Yeah.
Which would cost a lot less than if you pay somebody else to build it and then have to, you know, buy it from them.
Yes, sir. Well, listen, man, I so appreciate you guys letting us be a small part of this, and I hope that after this year's speed trials, which I'm going to put this up on the website right now while we're talking about it, because if you want to get involved, man, there's a simple way. You can point your vehicle towards Bonneville Salt Flats for August 23rd through the 28th and see this. You can pay the fee, go out on the salt, and sit there and watch history happen right before your very eyes. But man, I sure hope after this you guys will come back on and we can talk about this again, because this has been an absolute blast. Everybody that's on here is hanging on every word and loving what you guys are doing, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck on this.
Yeah, I appreciate it very much, guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
One of the guys.
Let me just say one thing.
One of the
I wanted to say about
guys
this.
on the crew.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Go ahead. No, you go.
Okay, I'll go. So I just wanted to say that also you guys have been talking about family and all that, you know, and of course, this is, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
You guys good? Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, making a decision to ride a bike that's doing this is obviously it's very, very serious work. And my wife's always been at my side and a major supporter in everything that I've done in racing. This is a little bit of a stressful situation going on, but one of the reasons I agreed to do this with this particular motorcycle is because Denis has built what I feel is the one world-class bike. It is the safest vehicle I feel like I've probably ever been in. So he mentioned Valerie, the previous rider in Australia that had wrecked it at 350 plus miles an hour, walked away no problem. One of the things that this bike has that most people don't even think about is, you know, what happens if, you know, stuff just doesn't go right and maybe the rider can't get to the controls or whatever. There's an actual parachute in the back end of the bike that it has its own powered separate unit, has its own battery, its own gas charge of air, and it deploys a parachute in case something doesn't go right and the G meter is not reading what it's supposed to at that particular moment. So it's very high tech. The bodywork does not have a tubular chassis in it. It's a monocoque design. It's like an Indy car, where, you know, the outside skeleton that you see, that is the safety measure. And nothing broke through when that thing had that big high-speed wreck. So, you know, you can say that it's a good bike and it's a fast bike and all that, but it's actually been crash tested and proven also, and not many of them have. And I feel very confident about that. You know, it's a great machine, and it's a great crew, and you know, obviously Manning family has got deep history and all this, and I'm just very honored to be a part of this at this stage in all of our lives. You know, it's just a culmination of both of our paths have crossed a few times throughout the years, and we've got a lot of common friends, and it seems like it at some point it had to come together.
Right on. What were your last words, Dennis?
Oh, if you read my book, Earl Flanders was sick and about to die, and Lucille called me and said Earl would want to talk to you before he dies. Okay, so I live in Northern California. They were in Southern California. I got in my car, went down there. And I went in, and he's a very sick man. He had emphysema, and he's been a guiding light of mine for a long time. And we talked about the past, talked about the future, talked about everything. Lucille came to me and said, Dennis, he's getting tired. You have to leave. And he said, wait, don't go quite yet. He says, I got 3 things to tell you. He said, center hub steering does not work. You made it work, but it's not the best thing to do. Number 2, always make sure the measured mile is in fact a measured mile. If it's too long, you're going to go slower. If it's too slow, whatever. But make damn sure it's correct. And the last thing is, Dennis, you talk too much. From a dying man.
Oh, buddy. Listen, I don't ever get tired of sitting around and listening to your stories, man. I've had the pleasure to be at Bonneville many times with you. I had the pleasure of being there whenever we were waiting for you guys to set the record with Chris Carr. And I mean, like, it's just been such an amazing journey. And again, thank you so much for letting us be part of it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, fellas, we're going to cut you loose. Chris, thank you for being on here with us, and we wish you the best of luck, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
We'll all be cheering and praying for you, so we'll expect to see you back on here and celebrate your achievements.
Oh, yeah. That'd be awesome.
Very much.
All righty.
That should be win or lose, Chris.
That's it.
The effort is the real winner.
That's it.
That's right.
You don't have to come back with the record to be victorious.
Absolutely.
No, we want to hear the whole story after this run for sure.
All right, fellas. Well, we're going to cut you loose,
okay.
and thank you for being on. We'll catch up with you again right after the event. And you guys, we're going to take a real quick minute here and switch things over, and then we're going to talk to AJ right over there about his very first ever Sturgis. Don't go anywhere. We have more to finish up with here on Shop Talk in the Dennis Kirk Motorcycle Studio.
Whether riding takes you from A to B or just lets you escape, there's a flow to the road you share. So go with it. Eyes open, and always have the Law Tigers by your side. If you've been injured in a motorcycle accident, visit us at lawtigers.com. Law Tigers, America's motorcycle lawyers.
Hey, I'm Ron Fleener.
Hi.
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay, we dropped his
Flea's Color Factory, you're watching Shop Talk.
Renamed him.
Clockworks, where innovation meets style. Clockworks specializes in high-quality windshields, fenders, phone mounts, and other parts designed to enhance your ride, with a commitment to craftsmanship and an eye for detail. Ensure your bike not only rides smoothly, but look stunning too. Elevate your riding experience today. Shop getclock.com.
All right, man, welcome back to the Dennis Kirk Motorcycle Studio, and we are running way over time, but it was so worth it tonight. I can't even apologize. I can't apologize. We had two absolute legends on here telling stories about all their other legend friends doing incredible shit throughout their life. So no apologies for that. But hey, man, speaking of a cat that has become legendary in our ranks here, Mr. AJ Bengoa, legendary Sturgis Virgin.
Arlen?
That's me.
Oh, XAM Biker says that he misses Heather tonight, that we're just not pretty enough.
Really? And I did my
I'm
hair.
a biscuit eater.
All right, AJ, send me pics, please, Becky says. So listen, always great for us to drag somebody brand new out to Sturgis. Nate Beck is calling you out on it, the Sturgeon. That was his title last year. And this year you wore that moniker proudly. But man, the shots that you were getting and the perspective, that's what I love about it. After you've been doing this as long as me and Mark, it's like, you know, you forget how truly special a lot of this shit is. And when we get to see it through somebody's eyes like yours, man, it's a blast. So, AJ, tell us about your first Sturgis. What did you think about rolling in?
Man, it was too much to take in. I really didn't even know where to start.
Not Heather Callan. There.
But yeah, I didn't even know where to start. At first, Missy went and took me around. I didn't even know what to do, you know, as picking up the camera and just starting. It was overwhelming. I mean, hundreds of bikes, every direction, and then just get lost. Even if I was trying to get somewhere and got lost, I would just pull over, take pictures, just stand there. I'd find myself in the middle of an intersection, just get off the bike, take pictures. I'd pull over to the side of a gas station, take pictures, and before I knew it, people were just, you know, they'd come over and ask if I'd take a picture of them. Before I knew it, I was holding their cell phones and taking pictures of them with their cell phones.
That is one of the greatest things. But then in the middle of all of this going on, now this, I got to tell you what a set my man has on him here. Like at one point we asked him where he keeps his extra container to haul balls in, because he hops on a motorcycle and just hauls ass from Texas to come and do this with us. And it breaks almost as soon as you get there. And then the heat was on for all of us, but you were cool as shit, man. You were just like, okay, well, what are we going to do? What's next? You know, what do we have to do for it? And like all the way up until this afternoon, we finally got the bike figured out, but you handled it like a pro.
Man, it's, since actually Tennessee Music Revival, that bike has been doing that to me. So, you know, I just got used to it. It's been one thing after another, but it has gotten me from one show to another, to another, to another. And, you know, through it all, it's one of those things where everything happens for a reason. And just luckily enough, I'm here doing this. So, you know, who's to say what was my holdup for? So,
dude, absolutely right. I mean, we talked about that, the divine providence, and you know how everything happens for a reason. Steve Broyles, we want to give him some props because he was one of the guys that was helping us out. Bagger Bader, we have to talk about this. His first Sturgis, he got arrested for urinating in public. He was so proud of it, he framed the citation. Dude, you are a man after my own heart. I love you so much. That one's for you. Yep, right behind One Eye Jacks, he said. Dennis Stauber says he wants to see the bike. I don't know if we have a picture. It's in your Instagram post today. What is your Instagram handle?
AJ_Bengoa.
There you go. So you can check it out there. You can see his bike. You can see a ton more of his images and stuff, man. But I actually asked you to pick out 10 tonight. See, AJ is new to the team here at Cycle Source, and we're so proud of the stuff that he's doing. Like, you know, for the last few events, you've just been killing it for us. We're so glad to have you along with us every time we get a chance. But I asked you to pick out 10 pictures tonight.
If you're being held against your will, blink. Just keep blinking, I'll come. So, just saying, not hating, just saying.
The son of a bitch won't come. Don't believe him. Well, let's start off with your first picture.
Oh, man. So when we took off for Michael Lechner's run, I was just trying to do what I could from the back while he was taking care of everything up front. So as the pack started drifting back, I was just moving from one rider to the other, making my way up maybe about a quarter before I started seeing Michael doing his thing. And as I would flow in, it was like everything would just flow with me. At first, nobody knew what I was doing because Michael was letting everybody know what he was going to be doing. So I just kind of crept up from the back, and before I knew it, it was on. We had traffic from both ends. The traffic from both ends, or from the opposite end, knew what was going on and gave me all the space. So from the back to the front, probably about 4 different times, I was able to come up and back from the left to the right, up in the middle, and it was awesome, man. 60 miles an hour, running up from the back to the front.
Right
really
on.
Awesome, yeah.
And dude, like almost no direction that
Great
you can
shots.
take a bad picture, right? In the Black
Yeah,
Hills.
right.
No, especially because I was using Steve's bike. So the first 5 riders coming out, I was having to get used to the bike. It had those beach cruiser bars. So as soon as I left off my hand with the camera, it was doing something like this. So I'd have to make sure I was at the right speed so that way there was no wobble. So once I turned my head and was doing that, I was having to make sure the bike was still straight and not, swerving into anybody else, because we were, pretty close to bike to bike or bike to bike with a passenger coming down the opposite end.
Yep. Becky Quiver Zarling says you were crazy. It was awesome.
And then something like this, all I was doing was jump out in the middle of the road on a stop sign or during the stoplight.
Oh yeah, I know where that is. That's right when you get up, going up to the Steel Pony, or coming back from it. I know that spot.
Yep. And that's my infamous Arlen shot.
Yeah. So what do we what do we have in this shot?
So as soon as I saw Paul and his friend pull up, I turned around and yelled, "Hey Arlen, let me get a shot of you." And then I start hearing them laugh, and then the guy behind me says, "Hey, what am I, chopped liver?" So then that's when I got that shot right there.
Oh, poor dude.
So yeah.
And just so you know that I'm in the ranks to be one of the people that you call your brother. I told Paul all about it, and I told him to never let you live it down for the rest of your life to tease you about this.
Right.
Oh, but what the worst part was, I had already posted all on Instagram and Facebook, so it was about an hour and a half after the fact, and everybody was like, "This is Paul Yaffe." I about had a heart attack. I started sweating immediately, and I could not edit fast enough to get it off and redo everything.
I almost replied to that about, that is not Arlen.
Oh, poor dude.
Oh man.
Some great pictures though.
Oh, dude, how about that face? Like, that says it all. That is Nate back right there, baby.
Man, and Nate, the coolest dude. Oh my gosh.
He's so excited.
Yes.
I love it. It's contagious when you have Nate around, man.
He's so rad.
Oh, this picture is one of my absolute favorite from your week so far.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's a good picture.
Yes.
Yep.
So
Damn,
trying to get
ring.
that fast enough, the bike started doing its thing again. I guess we had just left from the Biker Olympics. So I didn't even know y'all had got there before I had left. So getting back over there, I was lucky enough to catch a shot where everybody was boom right there.
Oh man, and great people in this shot. Obviously,
Oh, dude, what a great interview he was, right?
Yeah, Detroit Randy. You know,
oh, dude, I love him. He's great.
We've had Chantel on the show before.
Chantel.
Teach is there.
We still need to go
Mike.
eat at her restaurant.
Right? They were talking about it. They were talking about when they gave her a ring, because that was the coolest thing. Like, if you didn't know about Randy's Damn Show in Sturgis, not only did he give out a whole host of rings for legends, every single person that was invited out to his show got a ring, and you get inducted into the damn family, and it's a beautiful thing. And I want to say this, like, we want to have Randy on the show to talk about this, but this is the thing about that. The thing that's special about that is not that you get a ring and, you know, you're a legend or you're one of these builders or whatever. It's that Randy has taken the time with what goes on in this. And AJ, you can attest to this.
Yeah.
Being a bike builder is a pain in the ass, man, because you very rarely will anyone see even as much as 75% of the work that you put into something. Yep. And you toil away at this stuff, and you squander your resources, your money, your time, your everything. You put strains on your relationship, your life, everything. It's that simple thing of somebody like Randy taking the time and saying, "Hey, man, thank you for what you do." That's what's special. That's what's special about what Randy does, man.
Yeah,
and
Randy's the man.
Absolutely. So
I actually got invited to bring my bike to get my ring, but I didn't have a way to get Vengeance over there. So maybe next time.
This next picture, buddy, absolutely says it all, and I don't even know if you know how special this was.
What a legend she is.
100 years old this year, buddy. And look at her go.
Yes. I pulled up to that going to get photos of Nate getting his interview with her, and there was some more people already moving out of the way, and there was a clearing. So I jumped in right at the spot and got my photo and asked her a few questions, and
she's such a sweetheart, right?
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's such a nice lady.
And here's the thing, like, everybody talks about what a sweetheart she is, and I have to tell you about the first time that we met her, because it was way, way long ago. We were still younger guys, right? And here comes this little old lady, and we're set up at the Limpnicki lot at the skate park in Daytona, and she rides in on her motorcycle, and one at a time she goes to all the hot, badass young bike builders, and she said, "Hey, did you ride here?" And they'd go, "Well, no, we trailered down from, New York." And she'd go, "Pussy," and she'd move on to the next person. She did it to everybody on the lot that day. And she stood up in front of everybody, and we let her speak, and she talked about how she had to shovel her driveway out twice, and she had plastic Clorox bleach bottles that she cut out and made big hand guards, and she still rode to Daytona, and she wanted to know why the hell none of us did. Yeah. She was a total badass then, and she still is today, dude. And we're very, very lucky.
She was the boss.
Hey, Nate Beck is saying, got a solid interview with Randy, Detroit Randy. They'll be in our Sturgis coverage on Cycle Source TV, and that stuff will be out fast. Nate got some killer stuff that we're going to be putting out on TV and small clips here on this very show, so you want to check that out. Yep. Let's move on to the next picture, because this is dope too. I almost didn't get you guys to go out to this, and some of your shots from the hill climbs were epic.
Yeah, that was a little scarier too. So when we got there, we were trying to find a way in, found our way up to the top of the hill, and because of my boots are almost slick bottoms, oh gosh, getting up there was hard, but getting down was scary. But right where that hill was, they were rutting out so hardcore that probably 90% of all the riders were bailing out right at that spot. And because of that, we finally took off. And as soon as we took off, 3 riders went all the way up to the top right after that.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely a great shot. And there is the man, the myth, the legend. Ladies and gentlemen, Danger Dan in all his glory.
Having a camera around him will get you some awesome shots all the time. As soon as I see Dan, I'm like, oh.
Here we go.
Yep, Dan's a handful, that's for sure.
Yeah. Dude. So this looks like it's at the Steel Pony.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Bagger, you say?
I don't even remember what was going on. I just remember.
Look, he's totally denying this now. Like, how did you get that picture?
So actually, Detroit Randy had lined all this up, and by the time I turned around, Randy was finagling her, getting her to do her thing. So I snuck in and got my own shot.
You gotta watch that Randy, dude. He is so much fun.
All right. Well, listen. In total, how many pictures do you think you took? Because every few hours, Mark, he would run back to the house and he would download. Like he was on it. But seriously, every 3 hours.
Probably 1,000 more, almost 2,000.
Yeah. Yeah. This is gonna be great. It's going to be great. You guys are going to want to check that out. It's probably going to be within the next issue of the magazine. We'll be doing tons of stuff, but if you want to review the work that AJ has already done, just go through our social media feed from the last week, man, and you will not be disappointed, I promise you.
Oh yeah.
And that's it. We're almost at the 2-hour mark, so I think
jeez.
I think we're gonna let you guys
a round of applause.
I know. Yeah, a round of applause. We can do that. Mark says, wait till I get this, Bill. But the truth is, man, we do this because we love it. And any time that we get to have a conversation that goes on, and as well as the one that we had here tonight with those two.
Yeah, that was pretty good interview.
Absolutely. Check it out. Be first to know when their Bonneville effort goes through and we have a new King of the Hill. Couple things I just want to tell you guys about real quick. Smokeout, we are under the 1 month line. Let's see, let's go down to the bottom here, and it says 24 days, 11 hours, 7 minutes, and 10 seconds. So, Jesus.
Court duty that day?
Yeah, you will have court duty.
Action.
You'll be a sorry son of a bitch. Cycle Source TV, you guys know the deal with that. Check it out. It's like Netflix, but it's all motorcycle stuff, and there are no commercials. AJ, listen, man, thank you so much for sitting in with us tonight.
Totally.
Thanks for joining the family over here, and too bad for you. We're gonna keep you, so you're not going anywhere, man.
Blink. Remember, blink.
Blink. And listen, so your line in this whole next thing is same chopper channel. You got that?
Same chopper channel.
Okay.
Same chopper channel.
So listen, for all you guys, be good to each other. Do something with your motorcycle. Get out there because summertime is running away from us. For us, we will see you here next week. Same chopper time.
Same chopper channel.
Fuck it, Felicia.